Cassius, good afternoon.
Hi Rachel, good to be with you finally.
Yeah, first meet up. We've been colleagues for 4 months now, via Zoom.
Yeah.
So really great to be here in person. I've got my cup of tea. All is
I've
well.
got part of my orange juice left.
It's been a long meeting.
Yeah.
So we both work together at Transforming Communities together. Remind me of your job role.
So my
the strap line.
So my job title is Finance Development Worker, and essentially that means that I deliver training to churches and other community organisations, whether they're faith-based or not, who are supporting people who are struggling with their finances. So we know, as you said, it's been critical during this time, just recognising that there are sadly lots of people who've lost their jobs, had to deal with things like furlough, or had other financial pressures during this time.
Yeah, and my role as mental health development worker, there's quite a natural overlap there, really, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, you must be seeing, with the people that you've been working with, has there been a sort of notable increase in people's mental health deterioration or distress? What kind of things have you been seeing?
Yeah, there are two areas, primarily for the people who are offering support, who we get to deliver the training to. By and large, one of the things that we've said to them from the start is make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because they're hearing issues and taking on potentially stressful conversations, or hearing stressful conversations from the people that they're supporting. And so we've tried to encourage people to make sure that they've got an outlet, that they're speaking to someone themselves about what they may be hearing. But also, recognising that there's this clear link now between financial stress and impact on our mental health and well-being. And sadly, those who really struggle with mental ill health are often really penalised in terms of finance as well, so may struggle to organise things like budgets and paying bills. And so we recognise that there are specific issues if people are struggling with their mental health in relation to finance as well.
Thank you, that's helpful. And so, I know we talked a bit about, and I'm really passionate about this as well in terms of people's mental well-being. Talked about really trying to notice perhaps if things are becoming problematic, and trying to take some steps early on rather than waiting to hit a crisis point. Are you able to perhaps give some suggestions around what people might do if they perhaps watching this conversation and thinking, actually I'm a little bit worried about my bank balance or whatever it might be?
One of the things that we've tried to encourage is just to normalise conversations about money. So we recognise that the earlier that people can talk if they are struggling or if something has changed, the better. So that's whether that's sharing with family and friends, or if people are not feeling comfortable amongst their own community, to speak to someone through an organisation like Citizens Advice. There's also a lot of information now online. Money Helper has just been produced through the Money Advice Service, and there are lots of helpful tips about how people can access support, thinking about budgeting, thinking about where you might be able to make saving on bills, and also just recognising that what we don't want to do is get people into a situation where they're ignoring the letters that are coming through the door. They're not wanting to answer the phone. They're hiding behind the curtains in case someone knocks on the door and they feel is going to be chasing them for money. So just recognising that the earlier and the more that we can talk about things, I think that the better.
Lovely. And it sounds like your team are kind of primed to signpost people, if you like, to those organisations.
Yeah, we do a lot of signposting, also a lot of training, so that if people want to come and just have some understanding of where to be able to access resources or where to point people. We've been delivering this COVID cash course now since March last year, and have had, I think, over 1,000 people nationwide who've gone through it.
Yeah.
And so we know that it's well tested, and people find it helpful. It's, you know, it's a base level. People don't need to come to us feeling that they've got to have lots of financial wisdom already. It's just some ground level information to help people with some of the basics around managing finance.
And I'm guessing, you know, often these circumstances, they're not in isolation, are they? If you're struggling with your finances, you may well be struggling with your mental health. You may be struggling with relationships as the pressure builds. So having that kind of holistic approach, going, okay, how can, you know, what other areas do we need to look at, where can we sort of refer people on, is really helpful. And I know that, you know, hopefully as well, people have got perhaps a church community that perhaps they can reach out to. I know that often money isn't really talked about necessarily, but as you say, having a sort of a sense of being able to be open about finances, I think there won't be many people whose finances haven't been affected one way or the other.
Absolutely.
So I think to perhaps you know, become more comfortable to talk about finances and that reality is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. We've produced a small resource for churches to use, but it's not exclusively for churches, called Jesus Money. Just a small set of cards that are conversation starters about money. So if there's a church or an organisation that would like to engage in that way and find it, actually this is a more helpful way of opening up the conversation, you know, they're welcome to get in touch and order those resources. Really helpful. You know, questions like from at one level, if you won the lottery, how would you spend
That's
the
a great
money?
conversation opener, isn't it? And it's light touch, isn't it? It's not like kind of threatening in the same way as perhaps, you know, tell me about your financial situation.
Well, and we wouldn't expect people to do that. You know, no one is expected, through the way that the cards are formatted, to have to share personal information. If something is a bit too close to home for them, they can just leave that card and move on to another question.
That's really helpful. Well, that's been really helpful, Cassius. Thank you. Great to know that there's so many sort of different ways that people can kind of get in touch and find information, and that's been really helpful. And, you know, nobody should sort of suffer alone with you know, their mental health or financial pressures. So it's really great to hear that all the good work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Bless you. And it's great to be working alongside you and making those connections. So
thank you, Cassius.
bless you.